They're terrorists. The mainstream fake news media is domestic terrorists manipulating the public and using the television as a weapon to manipulate the public.
First tonight, our report on the incendiary radio host, Alex Jones. For years, Jones has been spreading conspiracy theories, claiming, for instance, that elements of the U.S. government allowed the 9/11 attacks to happen.
We talked controversies and conspiracies.
9/11.
Now, 9/11 was an inside job, but when I say inside job, it means criminal elements in our government working with Saudi Arabia and others wanted to frame Iraq for us.
I'll give you my word and tell you, if there's one thing about me, I do what I say I'm going to do, and I don't double cross. So, you know, you just became very fascinating to me. I just sort of thought you were this maybe, you know, one-dimensional guy, like this is your thing. My goal is for your listeners and the left, you know, who will be watching some on NBC to say, wow, that was really interesting. And then the next time I want to get somebody, they're going to say, look what you did to Alex Jones. It's not going to be some gotcha hit piece. I promise you that.
Now that we got President Trump in the office, we got a beachhead in D.C., this stuff is, we're going to take down the deep state, and the Democratic Party is already in meltdown mode. They're getting the last gasp of breath before they go extinct, just like the dinosaur media. The mainstream media is doing whatever they can to try to take down Alex Jones and make him look bad because he's bankrupting them. They're going under because of him. He's got the truth, and people like Megyn Kelly coming out there and saying, oh, we don't know what this is when they're bringing this across the border. These packages might be, what, Christmas gifts? We know it's pot. We know there's drugs in them. Just like he said, the FBI briefed him and said, yes, those are standard marijuana duffels, about 50 pounds.
On July 22, 2015, InfoWars put up this video, claiming it showed drug trafficking along the U.S.-Mexico border, although we don't know what it actually shows.
We actually witnessed a drug smuggling operation.
Guys swimming across and big bags of stuff. It's drugs.
Megyn Kelly, why are you trying to cover up for drug cartels? You know that drugs are pouring across the border, and that's another way to ploy the Trump building the wall and keeping out the drugs and all the illegal immigration. You failed, Megyn Kelly. NBC is sinking like the Titanic. So next time you try to take down somebody like Alex Jones, you better think again because it don't work. Everybody's waking up to your BS. Mainstream media is a fraud as much as the Clintons are. We need them arrested, lock her up immediately. Obama, the unmasking of names of General Flynn and others during the transition period. And we already know that the unmasking, I'm sure, was approved by Barack Obama himself. And he's using Susan Rice to throw her under the bus.
I know nothing about this.
The Hillary Clinton email scandal investigation of mishandling of classified emails should be reopened immediately due to obstruction of justice from Bill Clinton, Barack Hussein Obama, James Comey, and Loretta Lynch. We all know Bill Clinton met with Loretta Lynch days before James Comey came out and told how careless Hillary was with the classified emails as they met on the airplane, I guess talking about grandkids or possibly some kind of blackmail or a bribery. That's possibly what was really going on.
I did see President Clinton at the Phoenix airport as I was leaving, and he spoke to myself and my husband on the plane. Our conversation was a great deal about his grandchildren.
As Comey made his infamous press conference talking about, oh, Clinton had so many classified emails and how her mishandling was very careless. But then he went on to say, but I don't recommend any charges. First of all, the FBI don't recommend charges. They turn over the evidence to the Attorney General, who should have recused herself, Loretta Lynch, but was denying to do so because she knew that there was something there with the Clinton server. Because with the Clinton server, you think, oh, she may have been hiding her server from the government because she was putting stuff on there that she didn't want them to find or see, which could be the case. But I also think that there is a good possibility that she was putting stuff on there unsecure, so people in other foreign intelligence like China or Saudi Arabian intelligence or Pakistani could have been hacking into that and easily getting that information, and it could have got intelligence operatives killed, ambassadors possibly.
From the group of 30,000 emails returned to the State Department in 2014, 110 emails in 52 email chains have been determined by the owning agency to contain classified information at the time they were sent or received. 8 of those chains contained information that was top secret at the time they were sent. 36 of those chains contained secret information at the time, and 8 contained confidential information at the time. It's also likely that there are other work-related emails that they did not produce to State and that we did not find elsewhere and that are now gone, because they deleted all emails they did not produce to State, and the lawyers then cleaned their devices in such a way as to preclude complete forensic recovery. She also used her personal email extensively while outside the United States, including sending and receiving work-related emails in the territory of sophisticated adversaries. Given that combination of factors, we assess it is possible that hostile actors gained access to Secretary Clinton's personal email account. Although there is evidence of potential violations of the statutes regarding the handling of classified information, our judgment is that no reasonable prosecutor would bring such a case.
There should be a deeper look into this email and from another angle, not just her mishandling of the emails, but why did she actually do it? And we don't need somebody like former FBI Director Comey to come out there and say, well, I don't think that she was meaning anything by it or trying to do this or that. That is not your job. Your job is to evaluate the evidence and turn it over for a prosecution of the case, or either the case to be dropped due to lack of evidence, which there was no lack of evidence. There was plenty of evidence to go around for Clinton.
In our system, the prosecutors make the decisions about whether charges are appropriate based on evidence that the FBI helps collect.
And why did James Comey go so far as to leak into the press to make sure there was a special prosecutor appointed in the Russia investigation? He didn't go that far knowing that the Department of Justice was compromised with Loretta Lynch colluding with the Clinton campaign and putting out campaign talking points. He didn't call for a special prosecutor then. He just thought he would become the prosecutor, which I think that was part of the collusion as well. Comey colluding with the Department of Justice and Barack Obama to make sure that he went ahead and put that out to where it would take the pressure off Loretta Lynch when she made her statements on that she wasn't going to call for an indictment against Hillary Clinton. Total collusion between the FBI director, Barack Hussein Obama, and Loretta Lynch, using the Department of Justice as a political tool to get Hillary Clinton elected. This is Watergate on steroids, folks. And we all know that Barack Hussein Obama is using Susan Rice and Loretta Lynch for stuff that he approved personally. He's throwing them under the bus. So I think he's probably the misogynist, using women, throwing them under the bus, and Loretta Lynch trying to downplay the Clinton investigation by telling former FBI Director James Comey to call it a matter instead of an investigation. Since when did the FBI become the Federal Bureau of Matters? and also Loretta Lynch taking up and protecting Hillary Clinton in the congressional hearings. She wouldn't even answer simple law questions when asked so simple questions because she knew that Hillary Clinton was guilty of those crimes.
Does an individual need a security clearance to review or have access to classified material?
Congressman, that issue would be dependent upon the agency for whom they worked and the nature of the work that they did.
Can you give me an example where you don't need a security clearance to view classified material?
No, I believe, as I was going to say, they would, but the type of clearance varies with every agency, and the agency would make that decision and determination.
Is it legal or illegal to share classified information with somebody who doesn't have a security clearance?
Congressman, it depends on the facts of every situation. You'd have to determine how that sharing occurred. You'd have to determine the means. You'd have to determine, the reason, the intent. Certainly, depending upon how you view the statute, it could go any number of ways.
Do you think there is a scenario in which you could share classified information with somebody who doesn't have the requisite security clearance?
No, I would not draw that conclusion. I would say that I'm not able to answer it as a hypothetical, but that there are a number of factors that would go into the decision, and one could have any number of results.
Is it legal or illegal to provide access to somebody who doesn't have the requisite security clearance to view classified material?
To provide access?
Yeah.
Again, I'd need more facts on the hypothetical, but I would look at a number of things, and depending upon how you reviewed it, it could go any number of ways.
Is it legal or illegal to store, house, or retain classified information in a non-secure location?
Again, I would refer you to the statute. One could, in fact, have liability, again, depending upon the nature and facts and circumstances.
Do you have any examples of where it's legally acceptable to retain classified information in a non-secure location?
I don't have a hypothetical answer for that.
Is it legal or illegal to provide false testimony under oath?
There are a number of statutes that cover that, both at the federal and state level. There are a number of ways in which that could be found.
There's a difference between prosecuting something and whether it's legal or illegal. You know, these questions are pretty simple, and we've got millions of people with security clearance. How are they supposed to go through the gyrations that you've laid out in order to make a simple determination?
Congressman, if we had a specific fact situation or fact pattern, that could be reviewed.
I'm just asking,
when it comes to a hypothetical situation, it would be unfair to come up with a blanket answer to someone without reviewing all the facts of their situation.
And calling it a matter instead of an investigation, Comey did it. Comey went out there and called it a matter instead of an investigation. He's obstructing justice just as much as she is.
In this case, given the importance of the matter,
and also the rumor is that she was saying, we're not going to let this investigation go too far regardless of the evidence. So Loretta Lynch, Comey, and Barack Obama was all three obstructing justice. And Loretta Lynch, as we know now, is under investigation. And Bill Clinton should also be brought into it for his meeting that I'm sure that he coordinated with her to meet with her to blackmail her or to bribe her on that plane to make sure that Hillary Clinton would not be charged with any crimes. And Special Prosecutor Robert Mueller, M-O-L-E, Mueller, because he's a deep state mole, actively working against President Trump and hiring Hillary Clinton's mishandling of classified emails investigation lawyer. That's a total conflict of interest, as well as several major Obama and Clinton donors who donated the maximum in the last two elections. So these people, that's a total conflict of interest. We need a new prosecutor, and Robert Mueller, James Comey, Barack Obama, and Bill Clinton to be testifying in a congressional hearing and be investigated by the FBI as well. And there needs to be an investigation opened into the Clinton Foundation for charitable fraud, their Haiti fund, and their African funds that they raised hundreds of millions of dollars for, 5% of that may have went to help the people there. The other 95% went towards their pockets with Bill and Hillary Clinton and Chelsea Hubble. Because we all know Chelsea Clinton is not Bill Clinton's daughter. I mean, look at Hubble. Look at Webb Hubble. They look just alike. I mean, they're twins. And the pay for play, as Bill Clinton was president and Hillary Clinton Secretary of State, First Lady, and Senator, they would use the Clinton Foundation and speaking fees as briberies and payoffs for foreign governments. As soon as Hillary becomes Secretary of State, Bill Clinton's speaking fees went from $200,000 to over $500,000 for a 20-minute speech. I don't think it really had anything to do with the speech, though. It was from what she was either going to do for them as Secretary of State or what he had already done for them as president and using his government powers to make sure that interests went their way in aid packages and arms deals, contracts, very lucrative contracts that they obviously was using the speaking fees as a cover for the bribery from Chinese intelligence and Saudi intelligence, could be my guess anyway. Bill Clinton, as we know, when he was president, well, a lot of people don't know, but he gave away the guidance missile systems to the Chinese military, as well as the nuclear re-entry systems to the Chinese. Top secret military technology. Bill Clinton, you rapist, and Huma Abedin, her ties with terrorism and Saudi intelligence. I mean, and we had this woman working under Bill Clinton in the White House as an intern for Hillary, and then she moved on up and was a top aide for Hillary Clinton at the State Department. And this woman has easy evidence ties to Saudi intelligence and possibly selling state secrets. When you do a background check on somebody, even for a low-level security clearance, it'd be easy to pull up that her background comes from Saudi Arabia and her family has the ties with the terrorist backers or big contributors to Osama bin Laden. Her family ties with them, and there she worked in the White House and at the State Department. There's more evidence that Seth Rich leaked the WikiLeaks emails, the DNC and DCCC data dumps, than Russian hackers interfered with our election and Russian trolls putting out fake news. We know the mainstream fake news media was putting out fake news and fake polls against Donald Trump to make Hillary Clinton look unbeatable, saying that Hillary Clinton was up 15 plus points and had a 98% chance of winning the election, with a sole purpose of manipulating the public into voting for Hillary Clinton by thinking, oh, well, Hillary Clinton is up by so many points and it's impossible that Donald Trump wins at this point, so I'm just either going to stay home or vote for Hillary. Because we all know, for the biggest part of the public, they like voting for a winner. But by the mainstream fake news media manipulating the public and colluding with the Clinton campaign and possibly being paid off to put out positive information about Secretary Clinton, they're terrorists. The mainstream fake news media is domestic terrorists manipulating the public and using the television as a weapon to manipulate the public and using her talking points. This is total collusion and totally trying to interfere and destroy our democratic process of our presidential elections. Bernie Sanders and wife Jane Sanders are now under investigation by the FBI for bank fraud. So instead of Bonnie and Clyde, you can now call it Bonnie and Bernie. Oh, Bernie Sanders, the good-hearted American who's for the lower class and middle class, and he's against the millionaires and billionaires. we all know that that was a joke. Bernie Sanders should also be investigated for illegal personal use of campaign funds. Bernie Sanders ain't the sweet old, nice old man that everybody thought he was. He's as corrupt as the Clintons and the rest of these corrupt politicians. And why would Russian hackers or WikiLeaks care about voter data and voter logs, which we see in the WikiLeaks dump that the voter logs and data had software in it to redistrict Bernie supporters and Bernie voters to where their ballots would not be approved in through the Democratic primary. All they say about Seth Rich is don't touch it because we want to respect the family's wishes. Since when did they care about families' wishes? With this investigation involving the president, and if Seth Rich really did leak those to WikiLeaks, it changes the whole narrative. MSM, Rachel Maddow, and Jake Fake Tapper has been pushing for the last year. The deep state is actively trying to make sure they're covering that up. And Ron Wheeler, the investigator hired by the family, is totally being shut down by the D.C. police in his independent investigation. So why would Russia care about voter logs and voter data? And then Seth Rich, in a Q&A, was asking DNC officials about the vulnerabilities of the voter registration and voter logs, and he knew that there was vulnerabilities. And I think once he seen the redistricting software and how they was, rigging it against Bernie supporters and Bernie voters and Bernie himself for Hillary to win it, I think that made Seth Rich mad.
Excuse me, Seth Rich with the DNC. I think several of you have spoken about provisional ballots and rejected ballots. I guess we've looked at, as an outside practitioner with a vested interest in training our voters, how do we get better access to data that tells us why ballots are rejected, why ballots are cast as provisional, so that we can analyze that and then develop better training guides?
And why would Julian Assange care about just some DNC staffer if he wasn't the source? Putting up $25,000 reward and saying our sources take great risk and in great danger to get us the information that they are providing to us.
In the American political lexicon, there's such a thing as the October surprise. The stuff that you're sitting on, is an October surprise in there? Do you even know what you're sitting on?
WikiLeaks never sits on material. Whistleblowers go to significant efforts to get us material, and often very significant risks. As a 27-year-old works for the DNC, who was shot in the back, murdered just 2 weeks ago for unknown reasons as he was walking down the street in Washington. So
that was just a robbery, I believe, wasn't it?
No, there's no finding. So
what are you suggesting? What are you suggesting?
I'm suggesting that our sources take risks, and they become concerned to see things occurring like that.
But was he one of your sources then? I mean,
we don't comment on who our sources are.
But why make the suggestion about a young guy being shot in the streets of Washington?
Because we have to understand how high the stakes are in the United States, and that our sources are, our sources face serious risks. That's why they come to us, so we can protect their anonymity.
But it's quite something to suggest a murder. That's basically what you're doing.
Well, that others have suggested that. We are investigating to understand what happened in that situation with Seth Rich. I think it is a concerning situation. There's not a conclusion yet. We wouldn't be willing to state a conclusion, but we are concerned about it. And more importantly, a variety of WikiLeaks sources are concerned when that kind of thing happens.
Of course, Julian's not just going to come right out and say, yeah, Seth Rich was our source, because that's going to deter other sources from stepping forward. So he pretty much told us in a roundabout way, which everybody could read between the lines, that Seth Rich was the leaker. Why isn't the congressional investigation geared towards Seth Rich and looking into that more? And they can't say, oh, we're trying to disrespect Seth Rich's family, because when have they ever respected somebody? And plus, when there's an investigation like this, we're sorry to the Rich family for their loss, but there's an investigation, and it's high as you could get in this country. The top levels of our government, it looked like he had been in a scuffle. And why is the owner of the bar that Seth Rich was visiting always visiting the Obama White House? I mean, that just don't add up. Just a regular bartender, a bar owner, visiting the White House just weeks before Seth Rich was murdered, leaving his bar? Why did John Podesta say, we'll make an example of the leaker? He didn't say of the hackers, of Russia. He actively said the leaker, which he knew it was somebody from the DNC. They was just tracking that person down at the time. And once they found it was Seth Rich, and others have been talking about that there possibly could have been another dump that Seth Rich was bringing to the table. They had been watching some of the staffers and some of the people that they might have thought, could have been the leaker, because they didn't know who it was yet. They might have seen Seth Rich acting a little weird because he was going to bring some more data to the table and get to WikiLeaks. And they thought, we'll get him before he makes the drop this time. And, I mean, I just don't understand the bartender visiting the Obama White House. From as far as I could see, that he probably met with Obama himself. So, I mean, something is very wrong with that. There's definitely not a robbery gone bad there. And Seth Rich, they keep trying to downgrade him to just a DNC staffer when he was the main IT guy. And with the way technology is now and how elections go, the IT guy is one of the most important people on the job. We've got to find out who killed Seth Rich. But why isn't the DNC cooperating with the FBI investigation? If they're looking into Trump and the Russians hacking into the election, they should subpoena the DNC servers immediately. Why isn't the DNC working with the FBI and cooperating? I mean, it don't make any sense. If there's proof that Russia hacked our elections and was trying to hack into voters' systems throughout, which we know Department of Homeland Security was the ones actually hacking, and for WikiLeaks to back up the Russian narrative that they're playing off in the MSM and the globalists. And once MSM and the DNC started pushing the Russia is with WikiLeaks scenario and narrative, then we see Julian Assange and WikiLeaks with another data dump, the CIA Vault 7 dump, which shows in there that any intelligence agency, it's easy for its basic hacking. Act like somebody else did it. Leave the fingerprints of Russia, and Russia did it. Or the Chinese. Whoever you're trying to frame for the job of the hack, you can do it, no problem. We need to shine a light on this, folks, and get it out there. These children don't deserve to be treated in such heinous and evil manners. And the pedophilia amongst the DC and Hollywood elite. We got to shine a light on this, folks. The DC elite and Hollywood has been using pedophilia for blackmail. So they got you under control, and know that you're not going to tell on them for anything, because they've got you on video doing something heinous and sick and evil. But I'm not talking about a pizza parlor in DC. This has been going on for years, and the mainstream media is actively trying to cover it up and act like pedophilia don't even exist. We need to shine a light on this, folks, and get it out there. These children don't deserve to be treated in such heinous and evil manners. Then on May 3rd, former FBI Director James Comey in his congressional hearings talks, Huma Abedin on her computer was found with hundreds of classified emails from Clinton's email server. which a lot of them was not previously disclosed, and Clinton was under oath saying that that was all of them. Well, there was more on the Aberdeen and Weiner laptop. And James Comey says, well, we don't think that she did it for any sinister reason, having those hundreds of classified emails on her private computer at home. And then he was asked, do you think that Anthony Weiner was reading those emails? And he said, no, I don't think so. I think he was just getting them and printing them off for Huma so she could brief Hillary. I don't think so, and I don't think this, and I don't think that. That's not how the FBI operates. They operate off facts and evidence. So we know that James Comey is a deep state operative actively trying to cover up all the treason, fraud, and mishandling of classified emails and classified information, period, by the Clintons. The Clintons think they're bulletproof, but this stuff is not going to continue to happen. And I call on the DNC to turn over your server to the FBI immediately for forensic cyber experts to actually investigate your server. We don't need to depend on CrowdStrike, because this is a big investigation involving the President of the United States. And if he really was involved with Russia, which he's not, or y'all would be showing the proof that and the evidence, because there's nothing there on President Trump or his team. But I urge the FBI and Congressional Committee involved in the Russia investigation to subpoena the servers of the DNC immediately. I don't know why you're allowing them not to turn their servers over and depending on a third-party source like CrowdStrike, who is a Democratic company, liberal is you could get out, and why are they allowing this to happen? And by now I'm sure they've bleach bit their servers or got new ones. And we also need to look into this a little more carefully about Debbie Wasserman Schultz and the security breach, as they're calling it, which I'm more or less calling it a inside deep state job spying on congressmen involving the Owan brothers and their IT company. Why are they allowing this stuff to happen? If you look back at 9/11 and you see P-Tech, another IT company that had major contracts with the White House, U.S. intelligence, CIA. I mean, everybody was using P-Tech. And just like everybody in Congress was using the Owan brothers, who hadn't even been properly vetted and had top secret clearances and access to the whole network, the servers and emails of all the congressmen. And we know that Clinton and all of them was involved in that back when she was in the Senate, and Anthony Weiner, and allowing these congressmen to get BlackBerries that weren't in NSA classified phones that congressmen and other top government officials use. They was giving them weak, poor, secured phones so they could be breached. So they could be hacked. By who? Well, we know the Owan brothers has connections with Pakistani intelligence. So I don't understand why they're allowing this to happen and why they're allowing our country to be overtook. The globalists and deep state will not defeat us. There's more evidence that Seth Rich leaked the WikiLeaks emails, the DNC and DCCC data dumps, than Russian hackers interfere with our election, and Russian trolls putting out fake news. We know the mainstream fake news media was putting out fake news and fake polls against Donald Trump to make Hillary Clinton look unbeatable, saying that Hillary Clinton was up 15 plus points and had a 98% chance of winning the election, with a sole purpose of manipulating the public into voting for Hillary Clinton by thinking, oh, well, Hillary Clinton is up by so many points and it's impossible that Donald Trump wins at this point, so I'm just either going to stay home or vote for Hillary. because we all know for the biggest part of the public, they like voting for a winner. But by the mainstream fake news media manipulating the public and colluding with the Clinton campaign and possibly being paid off to put out positive information about Secretary Clinton, they're terrorists. The mainstream fake news media is domestic terrorists manipulating the public and using the television as a weapon to manipulate the public